双语音标领航，注音阅读启蒙，叶兴阳有声读物。
Following the Equator by Mark Twain. This book is affectionately inscribed to my young friend, Harry Rogers, with recognition of what he is and apprehension of what he may become, unless he form himself a little more closely upon the model of the author. The Pudidine Head Maxims. These wisdoms are for the luring of youth toward high moral altitudes. The author did not gather them from practice, but from observation. To be good is noble, but to show others how to be good is nobler. And no trouble. Contents. Chapter 1. The party across America to Vancouver on board the Waramo steamer. Chairs the captain going home under a cloudy, gritty purser. The brightest passenger remedy for bad habits, the doctor and the lumbago. A. Moral Pauper Limited Smoking Remittance Men. Chapter 2. Change of Costume Fish. Snake. And Boomerang Stories Tests of Memory. A Brahmin Expert General grants memory a delicately improper tale. Chapter 3. Honolulu. Reminiscences of the Sandwich Islands, King Liholiho and his royal equipment, the taboo, the population of the island, a Kanaka diver. Cholera at Honolulu, Honolulu. Past and present, the leper colony. Chapter 4. Leaving Honolulu, flying fish approaching the equator, why the ship went slow, the front yard of the ship crossing the equator, horse billiards or shovel board, the Waterbury watch washing deck, ship painters, the Great Meridian, the loss of a day, babe without a birthday. Chapter 5. A lesson in pronunciation, reverence for Robert Burns, the Southern Cross, troublesome constellations, Victoria for a name, islands on the Mapalofa and Fortuna, recruiting for the Queensland plantations. Captain Warren's notebook, recruiting not thoroughly popular. Chapter 6. Missionaries obstruct business, the sugar planter and the Kanaka. The planters view civilizing the Kanaka, the missionaries view the result. Repentant Kanaka's wrinkles, the death rate in Queensland. Chapter 7. The Fiji Islands, Suva, the ship from Duluth going ashore midwinter in Fiji, seeing the governor, why Fiji was ceded to England, old time. Fijians convicts among the Fijians, a case where marriage was a failure. Immortality with limitations. Chapter 8. A wilderness of islands, two men without a country, a naturalist from New Zealand, the fauna of Australasia, animals, insects, and birds, the ornithorhynchus, poetry and plagiarism. Chapter 9. Close to Australia, porpoises at night, entrance to Sydney Harbour, the loss of the Duncan Dunbar, the harbour, the city of Sydney, springtime in Australia, the climate information for travellers, the size of Australia, a dust storm and hot wind. Chapter 10. The discovery of Australia, transportation of convicts, discipline, English laws, ancient and modern flogging prisoners to death, arrival of settlers, New South Wales, quorum, currency and temperance, everywhere $100,000 for 1 gallon of rum, development of the country, immense resources. Chapter 11. Hospitality of English-speaking people, writers, and their gratitude, Mr. Gain, and the panegyrics, population of Sydney, an English city with American trimming, squatters, palaces and sheep kingdoms, wool and mutton, Australians and Americans, costermonger, pronunciation, England is home, table talk, English and colonial audiences. 124. Chapter 12. Mr. X. A missionary, why Christianity makes slow progress in India, a large dream, Hindu miracles and legends, Samson and Hanuman, the sandstone ridge, where are the gates. Chapter 13. Public works in Australasia, botanical garden of Sydney, 4 special socialties, the government house, a governor and his functions, the Admiralty House, the tour of the harbour, shark fishing, Cecil Rhodes shark and his first fortune, free board for sharks. Chapter 14. Bad health to Melbourne by rail, maps defective, the colony of Victoria, a round-trip ticket from Sydney, change cars from wide to narrow gauge, a peculiarity at Albury, customs fences, my word, the blue mountains, rabbit piles, government, RR, restaurants, duchesses, 4 waiters, sheep dip, railroad, coffee, things seen and not seen. Chapter 15. Wagga Wagga the Tichborne Claimant a Stock Mystery the Plan of the Romance the Realization the Henry Bascom Mystery Bascom Hall the Author's Death and Funeral. Chapter 16. Melbourne and its attractions. The Melbourne Cup Races Cup Day Great. Crowds clothes regardless of cost. Though Australian larrikin is he dead? Australian hospitality. Melbourne wool brokers. The museums. The palaces. The origin of Melbourne. Chapter 17. The British Empire, its exports and imports. The trade of Australia to Adelaide. Broken Hill Silver Mine Roundabout Road. The Scrub and its possibilities for the novelist. The Aboriginal Tracker Test Case. How does one cow track differ from another? Chapter 18. Gum trees, unsociable trees, gorse and broom. Universal defect in adventure wanted. L200 got L20 000 a vast land scheme. The smash up the corpse got up and danced. A unique business by one man buying the kangaroo skin. The approach to Adelaide. Everything comes to him who waits. A healthy religious sphere. What is the matter with the spectre? Chapter 19. The Botanical Gardens, contributions from all countries. The Zoological Gardens of Adelaide. The Laughing Jackass. The Dingo. Misnamed province. Telegraphing from Melbourne to San Francisco. Mania for holidays. The temperature. The death rate. Celebration of the reading of the Proclamation of 1836. Some old settlers at the commemoration. Their staying powers. The intelligence of the Aboriginal. The antiquity of the boomerang. Chapter 20. A cholera talk about old times. The fox huntin' accurate judgment of an idiot. How we passed the custom officers in Italy. Chapter 21. The wheat keeping down the population. Victoria killing the Aboriginals. Pioneer days in Queensland. Material for a drama. The bush pudding with arsenic. Revenge. Right spirit but a wrong method. Death of Donga Billy. Chapter 22. Continued description of Aboriginals' manly qualities. Dodging balls. Feats of spring jumping where the kangaroo learned its art. Well. Digging. Endurance surgery. Artistic abilities. Fenimore Cooper's last chance. Australian slang. Chapter 23. To Horsham, colony of Victoria. Description of Horsham at the hotel. Pepper tree. The agricultural college. 40 pupils. High temperature. Width of road in chains. Perches, etc. The bird with a forgettable name. The magpie and the lady. Fruit trees. Soils. Sheep shearing to Stowell. Gold mining country. $75. 000 per month income and able to keep house. Fine grapes and wine. The driest community on earth. The Three Sisters. Gum trees and water. Chapter 24. Road to Ballarat. The city. Great Gold Strike. 1851. Rush for Australia. Great Nuggets. Taxation Revolt and Victory. Peter Lawler and the Eureka Stockade. Pencil mark. Fine statuary at Ballarat. Population. Ballarat English. Chapter 25. Bound for Bendigo. The priest at Castlemaine. Times saved by walking. Description of Bendigo. A valuable nugget. Perseverance and success. Mr. Blank and his influence. Conveyance of an idea. I had to like the Irishman. Corgan Castle. And the Mark Twain Club. My Bascom mystery. Solved. Chapter 26. Where New Zealand is but few know things people think they know. The Yale professor and his visitor from NZ. Chapter 27. The South Pole swell. Tasmania. Extermination of the natives. The picture. Proclamation. The conciliator. The formidable 16. Chapter 28. When the moment comes the man appears. Ed. Jackson called on Commodore Vanderbilt. Their interview. Welcome to the child of his friend. A. Big time, but under inspection. Sent on important business. A visit to the boys on the boat. Chapter 29. Tasmania. Early days. Description of the town of Hobart. An Englishman's love of home surroundings. Neatest city on earth. The museum. A parrot with an acquired taste. Glass arrow beads. Refuge for the indigent. Too healthy. Chapter 30. Arrival at Bluff, NZ, where the rabbit plague began. The natural enemy of the rabbit. Dunedin. A lovely town. Visit to Dr. Hawk in his museum. A liquefied caterpillar. The unperfect tape worm. The public museum and picture. Chapter 31. The Express Train. A hell of a hotel at Maryborough. Clocks and bells railroad service. Chapter 32. Description of the town of Christchurch. A fine museum jadestone. Trinkets. The great man, the first Maori in New Zealand. Women voters. Person in New Zealand law includes woman taming and ornithorhynchus. A voyage in the flora from Littleton cattle stalls for everybody. A wonderful time. Chapter 33. The town of Nelson. The Mongatapa murders. The great event of the town. Burgess Confession Summit of Mount Eden, Rotorua and the Hot Lakes. And Geysers Thermal Springs District, Kauri Gum Tangarawa Mountains. Chapter 34. The Bay of Gisborne taking in passengers by the Yard Arm. The Green. Ballarat fly. False teeth from Napier to Hastings by the Ballarat fly. Train Kauri trees. A case of mental telegraphy. Chapter 35. 50 miles in 4 hours. Comfortable cars. Town of Waganui. Plenty of Maoris on the increase. Compliments to the Maoris. The missionary ways. All wrong. The taboo among the Maoris. A mysterious, sign-curious war. Monuments. Wellington. Chapter 36. The poems of Mrs. Moore. The sad fate of William Upson. A fellow traveller. Imitating the Prince of Wales. A would-be due to arrival at Sydney. Curious town names with poem. Chapter 37. From Sydney for Ceylon. A Lascar crew. A fine ship. 3 cats and a basket of kittens. Dinner conversations. View of Cliquot wine at anchor in King George's Sound. Albany Harbour. More cats. A vulture on board nearing the equator. Again dressing for dinner. Ceylon. Hotel. Bristol servant. Brampier. Feminine man. Japanese jinrickshaw or cart. Scenes in Ceylon. A missionary school. Insincerity of clothes. Chapter 38. Steamer rosettes to Bombay. Limes 14 cents a barrel. Bombay. A bewitching city. Descriptions of people and dress. Woman as a road decoration. India. The land of dreams and romance. 14 porters to carry baggage. Correcting a servant. Killing a slave. Arranging a bedroom. 3 hours. Work and a terrible racket. The bird of birds. The Indian crow. Chapter 39. God Vishnu. 108 names. Change of titles or hunting for an heir. Bombay as a kaleidoscope. The natives. Man servant. Servants. Recommendations. How Manuel got his name and his English. Satan. A visit from God. Chapter 40. The government house at Malabar Point. Mansion of Kumar Sri Samitsanjai Bahadur. The Indian princess. A difficult game. Wardrobe and jewels. Ceremonials. Decorations when leaving the Towers of Silence. A funeral. Chapter 41. Jain Temple. Mr. Roychand's bungalow. A decorated 6-gun Prince Human fireworks. European dress. Past and present complexions. Advantages with the Zulu festivities at the bungalow. Notch dancers. Entrance of the prince. Address to the prince. Chapter 42. A Hindu betrothal. Midnight. Sleepers on the ground. Home of the bride. Of 12 years dressed as a boy. Illumination. Notch girls imitating snakes. Later illuminated porch filled with sleepers. The plague. Chapter 43. Murder trial in Bombay. Confidence swindlers. Some specialties of India. The plague. Juggernaut. Sati. Etc. Everything on gigantic scale. India first in everything. 80 states. More custom houses than cats. Rich ground for thug society. Chapter 44. Thug book supplies for traveling, betting, and other freight seen at railway station. Making way for white man waiting passengers. High and low caste. Touch in the cars. Are car beds made up. Dreaming of thugs. Baroda meet friends. Indian well. The old town. Narrow streets. A mad elephant. Chapter 45. Elephant riding. How does the new palace. The prince's excursion. Gold and silver artillery. A viceroyal visit. Remarkable dog. The bench show. Augustine Daly's back door faker. Chapter 46. The thugs' government efforts to exterminate them. Choking a victim. A faker spared. Thief strangled. Chapter 47. Thugs. Continued record of murders. A joy of hunting and killing men. Gordon Gumming killing an elephant. Family affection among thugs. Burial places. Chapter 48. Starting for Allahabad. Lower berths in sleepers. Elderly ladies have preference of berths. An American lady takes one. Anyhow. How Smythe lost His birth, how he got even the sati. Chapter 49. Pajamas day seen in India clothed in a turban and a pocket. Handkerchief land parceled out established village servants witches in. Family's hereditary midwifery destruction of girl babies. Wedding. Display tiger persuader hailstorm discourages the tyranny of the sweeper elephant driver water carrier curious rivers arrival at Allahabad English Quarter Lecture Hall like a snowstorm private. Carriages a milliner early morning the squatting servant a religious fair. Chapter 50. On the road to Benares dust and waiting the bejeweled crowd a native prince and his guardianana lady the extremes of fashion the hotel at Benares and annex a mile away doors in India the people tree warning against cold baths a strange fruit description of Benares. The beginning of creation pilgrims to Benares a priest with a good business. Stand Protestant missionary the Trinity Brahma, a Shiva, and Vishnu. Religion the business at Benares. Chapter 51. Benares a religious temple a guide for pilgrims to save time in securing salvation. Chapter 52. A curious way to secure salvation the banks of the Ganges architecture represents piety a trip on the river bathers and their costumes. Drinking the water a scientific test of the nasty purifier Hindu faith. In the Ganges a cremation remembrances of the sati all life sacred. Except human life the goddess Bhavani. And the sacrificer sacred. Monkeys ugly idols everywhere too, white minarets a great view with a monkey in it a picture on the water. Chapter 53. Still in Benares another living god why things are wonderful Sri 108. Utterly perfect how he came so our visit to Sri a friendly deity. Exchanging autographs and books Sri's pupil an interesting man. Reverence and irreverence dancing in a sepulchre. Chapter 54. Rail to Calcutta population the city of palaces, a fluted candle. Stickok Turlani newspaper correspondence average knowledge of countries a wrong idea of Chicago Calcutta, and the black hole. Description of the horrors those who lived the botanical gardens the afternoon turnout grand review military tournament excursion on the Hooghly the museum what winter means Calcutta. Chapter 55. On the road again flannels in order cross country from Greenland's icy mountain swapping civilization no field women in India how it is. In other countries canvas covered cars the tiger country my first hunt. Some elephants get away the plains of India the Gurkhas women for pack horses a substitute for a cab Darjeeling the hotel the highest thing in the Himalayas, the Club Kanchenjunga and Mt Everest. Thibetans the prayer wheel. People going to the bazaar. Chapter 56. On the road again the handcar a 35-mile slide the banyan. Tree a dramatic performance the railroad the halfway house the brain. Fever bird the coppersmith bird nightingales and Q owls. Chapter 57. India the most extraordinary country on earth nothing forgotten the land of wonders annual statistics everywhere about violence tiger versus man a handsome fight annual man killing and tiger killing other animal snakes insurance and snake tables the cobra bite Muzaffarpur. Dinapur a train that stopped for gossip 6 hours for 35 miles a rupee to the engineer 90 miles an hour again to Benares. The piety hive to Lucknow. Chapter 58. The Great Mutiny the massacre in Kanpur terrible scenes in Lucknow. The Residency the siege. Chapter 59. A visit to the Residency Kanpur the adjutant bird and the Hindu corpse the Taj Mahal the true conception the ice storm true gems. Syrian fountains and exaggerated Niagara. Chapter 60. To Lahore the governor's elephant taking a ride no danger from collision Rawalpindi back to Delhi an orientalized Englishman. Monkeys and the paint pot monkey crying over my notebook arrival at Jaipur and Rajputana watching servants the Jaipur hotel are old and new Satan as a liar the museum a street show blocks of houses. A religious procession. Chapter 61. Methods in American Deaf and Dumb Asylums methods in the public schools. A letter from a youth in Punjab highly educated service a damage to the country a little book from Calcutta writing poor English. Embarrassed by a beggar girl a specimen letter and application for Employment A. Calcutta School Examination 2 Samples of Literature. Chapter 62. Sail from Calcutta to Madras, thence to Ceylon, thence for Mauritius. The Indian Ocean, our captain's peculiarity, the Scot has won to the flying fish that went hunting in the field, find for smuggling lots of pets on board, the color of the sea, the most important member of nature's family, the captain's story of cold weather omissions in the ship's library, washing decks, pajamas on deck, the cat's toilet, no interest in the bulletin, perfect rest, the Milky Way and the Magellan Clouds, Mauritius, Port Louis, a hot country under French control. A variety of people and complexions trained to cure pipe, wonderful office holder, the wooden peg ornament, the prominent historical event of Mauritius, Paul and Virginia, one of Virginia's wedding gifts, heaven copied after Mauritius, early history of Mauritius, quarantines, population of all kinds, what the world consists of, where Russia and Germany are, a picture of Milan Cathedral, newspapers, the language best sugar in the world, literature of Mauritius. Chapter 63. Port Louis, matches no good, good roads, death notices why European nations rob each other, what immigrants to Mauritius do, population, labor, wages, the Cameron, the palmist, and other eatables, monkeys, the cyclone of 1892, Mauritius, a Sunday landscape. Chapter 64. The steamer Arundel Castle, poor beds in ships, the beds in Noah's Ark, getting a rest in Europe, ship in sight, Mozambique Channel, the engineer and the band, Thackeray's Madagascar, Afrikanders going home, singing on the after deck, an out-of-place story, dynamite explosion in Johannesburg, entering Delagoa Bay ashore, a hot winter small town, no sights, no carriages, working women, Barnum's purchase of Shakespeare's birthplace, Jumbo, and the Nelson Monument, arrival at Durban. Chapter 65. Royal Hotel Durban, bells that did not ring, early inquiries for comforts, change of temperature after sunset, Trikhas, the hotel chameleon, natives not out after the bell, preponderance of blacks in natal hair, fashions in natal Zulus for police, a drive round the Berea, the cactus, and other trees, religion of vital matter, peculiar views about babies, Zulu kings, a Trappist monastery, Transvaal, politics, reasons why the trouble came about. Chapter 66. Jameson over the border, his defeat and capture, sent to England for trial, arrest of citizens by the Boers, commuted sentences, final release of all but 2 interesting days for a stranger, hard to understand either side what the reformers expected to accomplish, how they proposed to do it, testimonies a year later, a woman's part, the truth of the South African situation, Jameson's ride, a poem. Chapter Lexville. Jameson's raid, the reform committee's difficult task, possible plans, advice that Jameson ought to have the War of 1881 and its lessons, statistics of losses of the combatants, Jameson's battles, losses on both sides, the military errors, how the warfare should have been carried on to be successful. Chapter 68. Judicious Mr. Rhodes, what South Africa consists of, Johannesburg, gold mines, the heaven of American engineers, what the author knows about mining, description of the Boer, what should be expected of him, what was a dizzy jump for Rhodes, taxes, Rhodesian method of reducing native population, journeying in Cape Colony, the cars, the country, the weather, tamed blacks, familiar figures in King William's town, Boer dress, Boer country life, sleeping accommodations, the reformers in Boer prison, torturing a black prisoner. Chapter 69. An absorbing novelty, the Kimberley diamond mines, discovery of diamonds, the wronged stranger, where the gems are, a judicious change of boundary, modern machinery and appliances, thrilling excitement in finding a diamond, testing a diamond, fences, deep mining by natives in the compound, stealing reward for the biggest diamond, a fortune in wine, the great diamond office of the De Beer Company, sorting the gems. Cape Town, the most imposing man in British provinces, various reasons for his supremacy, how he makes friends. Conclusion. Table Rock, Table Bay, the castle, government and parliament, the club, Dutch mansions and their hospitality, Dr. John Barry and his doings on the ship Norman Madeira, arrived in Southampton. Following the Equator. Chapter 1. A man may have no bad habits and have worse Pudd'nhead Wilson's New Calendar. The starting point of this lecturing trip around the world was Paris, where we had been living a year or two. We sailed for America, and there made certain preparations. This took but little time. 2 members of my family elected to go with me. Also a carbuncle. The dictionary says a carbuncle is a kind of jewel. Humor is out of place in a dictionary. We started westward from New York in midsummer, with Major Pond to manage the platform business as far as the Pacific. It was warm work, all the way, and the last fortnight of it was suffocatingly smoky. For in Oregon and Columbia the forest fires were raging. We had an added week of smoke at the seaboard, where we were obliged a while for our ship. She had been getting herself ashore in the smoke, and she had to be docked and repaired. We sailed at last, and so ended a snail-paced march across the continent, which had lasted 40 days. We moved westward about mid-afternoon over a rippled and summer sea. An enticing sea, a clean and cool sea, and apparently a welcome sea to all on board. It certainly was to the distressful dustings and smokings and swelterings of the past weeks. The voyage would furnish a 3 weeks holiday, with hardly a break in it. We had the whole Pacific Ocean in front of us, with nothing to do but do nothing and be comfortable. The city of Victoria was twinkling dim in the deep heart of her smoke cloud, and getting ready to vanish, and now we closed the field glasses and sat down on our steamer chairs contented and at peace. But they went to wreck and ruin under us and brought us to shame before all the passengers.